Convoy organizers. Okay, go ahead.
Before I begin, I'd just like to ask leave to use a certain document. I believe your council's been advised of this. I've put together an examination aid for the purpose to save time. The documents in the examination aid I will be tendering into evidence. However, not the examination aid itself. The purpose of the examination aid is so that I don't have to wait to go through each and every document one by one by one and waste the 15 minutes I have. I've compiled the records into a Word and PDF document that I'm referring to with the footnotes of each and every one that have been assigned the numbers in the database system. And I would like leave to be able to refer to that document while I'm doing my examination, sir.
Okay, and it's just a compilation of documents without comments and?
No. Yes, sir.
No comments, and the full document is there? It's not an extract?
For the most part, I had to, because I am somewhat inept when it comes to using Microsoft Word. I had to take screenshots of a couple in order to actually put them in, but they are in full.
So it's the full document. So it's
Yes.
basically a compilation of a series of documents without comment.
Correct.
Okay.
Sure. Robert McKinnon, Government of Canada. My friend is looking to put in, it looks like, parts of an affidavit attachments or affidavit itself as part of this. If it's just a document that has an ID number already on it, if that's it, that's fine. So as long as it's not just an excerpt of an affidavit that's been filed in this proceeding or the motion itself, not argument, and it's just the document. As long as there's no commentary.
No, it just, there is a couple of things summarizing the facts. If we want, I can delete every single one of them.
We have no objection to a document that's been filed in relativity, but as Commissioner knows, this is still being in play for a response to the motion. So it would be improper to have comments associated with that motion put as part of the document. As long as it's just the document itself with nothing more, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. And what we can do, sir, is that if my friend, he has the document, if there's issues as they arise, before I move to the next page of each one, I will check with my friend to make sure that he feels it's fair.
So, but, okay, and you don't, I'm a bit confused. I thought you said there were no comments, it was
There's
just
no-
documents.
It was documents, but I state the fact in the document before putting, it's not anything other than the fact. But as I said, I can delete that if the court would like. And if you give me 5 minutes before I start, I'll delete all of that and just send the documents with the date, if that works for the court or for the commission.
So Mr. Commissioner, I'm just reviewing the document and without avoiding any debates about what commentary is, there are statements before some of the documents that aren't necessarily reflective of the documents. For instance, this is the first time this photograph appeared. So again, not getting into what commentary is, Commission Counsel does have concern about that sort of statement being put in this format. I think Commission Counsel's view is the documents themselves, if they can be organized in a fashion where it's just reflecting what's in the document, that's fine.
I can do that, sir. If I can have simply 2 minutes, I think, I can do that and send it around to everybody, and it'll just have the date at the top.
Okay, well, I think that's preferable, and as I understand it, there's no objection if that's what's done, because, yeah, obviously, if it speeds up things, we're very much into that.
Yes.
So what I'd suggest is, why don't you stand down, and we'll go to the next cross-examiner, the OPP, and we can, assuming you've put it together, let me know, and we can reschedule you. Okay, thank you. We're ready to go. Okay. Convoy organizers, please.
Robert McKinnon, Government of Canada. We've just received what I think my friend is going to put up on the screen. And it is not what had been agreed to. It has commentary, it has statements along with the document, if that's what is going to be put up. At least it was just sent around by the Freedom Corp just a few minutes ago.
Lesser version of the one we sent earlier and took out everything except simple facts, sir. There's some documents that are such that I can't just copy and paste them into the document. They're PDFs and things. So I had to type them out, but they're verbatim. So if my friend wants me to refer to each and every document, which I've now made it simple as well, I've had all of them uploaded in one PDF. The clerk has them on standby. As we go through, I have no problem deviating from this at all and going through the document, but I would like to finish the examination, at least if I'm forced to do that, in order to get through these records. These records, there's, in my view, and I would submit as we go through, there's simply no issue with the facts stated herein.
Did you say there is a PDF with all of them on it?
I had that uploaded just now. So I got them, all of them consolidated and put into one PDF so that I can stop wasting.
Why can't we use it?
Well, we can if we want. It's just going to I have to navigate it. So, because it's not exactly labeled completely great. So I guess we could, can we use that? Yep, we can do
Yeah,
that, sir.
That would be best, I think.
Yeah.
Then we avoid any issues.
Great. Okay. Time to begin now?
You've already taken a fair amount of your time, but I'll be generous.
Just, Robert McKinnon, again, sorry, last thing. Just as long as the documents that we're referring to, you have, I don't know how many here.
They're all the ones that I've, in the
40.
document that I've given you already. The one.
So they're all in relativity.
Pretty much, yeah,
No, no.
all of those are in relativity because that document is in relativity.
No.
So if we could pull up the document, and I just don't want to run out of time.
Okay, so let's see how it goes, and I'll try and keep an eye out for you, Mr. McKinnon, if there's an issue.
Okay, so if I can first, Director, does CSIS have a concern with the current elected executive leaking information and CSIS information to the media? Do they have a current concern about that?
Do you have something specific you
No, I
want
just
to
want
refer
to,
to?
not specific, but does CSIS have a concern generally about the current political executive leaking information from CSIS to the media?
We always have concern when we see information that is, unauthorizedly, made public. I don't know where the source of those unauthorized disclosures are, so I do not have a specific view on your premise. I'm concerned when I see unauthorized disclosure point.
Right. So, but I take it the unauthorized disclosure, it's highly unlikely it's actually coming from your agency. It's not coming from them directly, is it?
I'd like to think that, we have an organization that, has a very high standard for that, but, I would not want to speculate as to the source of potential unauthorized disclosures.
Okay. If we could go to the January 24th tweet of Mr. McGregor. Or sorry, the January 25th one of Alethea Raj. Tweet 14, number 14.
Council, may be assistance for you in your time. If you know the page reference in that PDF, it'd be a little bit faster. It does not appear to be hyperlinking to the particular.
Yes, I think the hyperlinks didn't carry through when we uploaded. Unfortunately, that happens sometimes. That's why I wanted to use my sheet. Well, in any event, sir, I'm just gonna ask you. I want to bring up then the document. Just a second. I'll just bring it up on the normal document relativity, and I'm going to have to ask for more time. I tried to get this dealt with, and if I was permitted to use the examination sheet that my friend's trying to stop me from, I wouldn't be in this position.
Mr. Commissioner, I do have this is Bathsheba Vandenberg, counsel for Freedom Corps. I do have a number that I can give to the clerk if I may.
Okay, go ahead. Anything to speed it up.
The code for the Raj tweet is HRF 401621.
Thank you. And that's also at page 17 of the document that I had put up, actually. So if you want to we can do that. So, sir, do you see that, that tweet there? It's from the 25th. It's retweeting the January 6th event narrative that had been released in the media prior to the convoy arrived.
Well, I'm looking at the screen now.
Yep. Okay. Did you know that that tweet is what resulted in the political executive essentially becoming concerned with the convoy and having internal discussions about the narrative they were going to build? Were you aware of that?
I'm not sure I understand your question. I'm sorry, counsel.
Okay. So I'm going to take you to, and sir, I have them consolidated. They're the text messages between Mary Liz Power and as well as Alexander Cohen. They're verbatim in my examination aid. There's nothing added. If I could bring up the examination aid, please, again, and I can use that. We can just scroll to where it starts with Mary Liz Power. Sir, thank you.
Does council have any objection to the use of the examination, or?
If he's going back to the same document that.
Well, then I'll read it to him. Okay, verbatim. So on January 25th at 9:22 a.m., Mary Liz Power, Issues and Policy Advisor to the Office of the Prime Minister. They have a text message exchange with Alexander Cohen, the Director of Communications to the Minister of Public Safety, okay? And it begins when that tweet is sent. They send it out, all right? And Mary Liz Power sends that text to Alexander Cohen and states, "I'm sure you've seen this, but flagging." Alexander Cohen responds, "Yep. I've been encouraging journalists to take a closer look at who these people are, in brackets, and where their 3 mil comes from, close brackets. Obviously, a light touch given the portfolio." Then Mary Liz Power states, "Do you know if there's anything to be found in that GoFundMe?" And Alexander Cohen replies, "I think it's worth looking into. I've put Mary Wolf on it." Highlighted, well, it was highlighted, and she's obsessed with this kind of stuff. Mary Liz Power replies, "Nice, I'll look into what I can do." Now, can you agree with me from an intelligence perspective that those are two staffers building a political narrative with respect to a national security issue?
Commissioner, there's a lot of information that has been put to us now. I have not read those tweets before. I could not make any informed, opinion of what this information is in the context of,
Okay.
of today's hearing.
And then later that day at 12:02 p.m., Mary Liz Power and Alexander Cohen exchanged further text messages, all right? So Mary Liz Power states, "Got a quick response. People are into it. LMK, meaning let me know, if your boss is too. Happy to help however I can. This is what I sent, though, by the way." And this is whoever she sent it to with respect to the narrative. "Hi, I just had a chat with Alex at PS, who had a bit of an interesting idea. As you saw in the pod goals chats, the trucker convoy and some of their more extreme comments, in brackets, i.e. calling for a January 6th style insurrection, close brackets, are getting more coverage in media. Alex was surveying where there'd be interest in his boss, that's the public safety minister, doing some media on this eventually. He was chatting with Mendicino about right before he went into the cabinet retreat. I think there could be an opportunity in getting in on the narrative of the truckers, particularly with the research that the LRB is doing into their backers. My thoughts of framing here would be similar to what the PM and Blair said last year when January 6 occurred. Our democracy is something we need to nurture and protect every day. We will always protect the right to peaceful protest. Some calls that organizers of these events are making are concerning, and we're taking them seriously. Would need something to back this up in brackets. We'll continue to monitor the situation closely, and the fine line to walk would be to ensure we are not looking like we're directing the police, which obviously is not the goal here. Hoping to canvass your thoughts. Alex said he'd come back to me with a proposal this aft when he gets to chat to Mendicio again, and obviously pending his boss and our interests in looking into this further. Mr. Cohen responds, thanks. I had an initial chat with my boss and he's supportive, but wants to wait a day or two. There's a danger that if we come down too hard, they might push out the crazies. Mary Liz Power replies, I think that's fair. Apparently Global and others are working on stories. Maybe we see how those land. Now, I'm going to ask the same question again. At that point, are there a bunch of political staffers essentially planning to create a national security issue or make one look like it is?
Mr. Commissioner, I will have the same answer. You know, there's a lot of information just been put to us for the first time. There are acronyms that were mentioned. I don't know what they refer to. And I think, you know, I can speak to information I'm aware of, privy to, but unfortunately not this one, Council.
So are you aware of the LRB, what it is? You are, aren't you?
Not the specific acronym, maybe if you spell it out.
Liberal Research Bureau.
Yeah, I know about the Liberal Research Bureau.
All right. And so is it fair to say that it's kind of strange that the political branch would have the Liberal Research Bureau doing research on protesters with respect to these concerns they're raising, as opposed to yourselves who are the National Security Agency?
Mr. Commissioner, I would say that, you know, this is not something that would be of interest to CSIS. As we, my colleagues and I have testified, we very much, you know, since the beginning, mid-January on, we've been looking at these issues and the developments and potential threat to the security of Canada based on the CSIS Act. So we would not be looking necessarily for what other parties would be involved in this context.
Okay, can we go to document ssm.can.00006358 underscore rel.0001? Okay, can we just scroll to the bottom to the first email, please? Okay, so this email is from January 27th, okay? And it's an email between, again, more political staffers. It begins with Carolyn Williams. She's the Director of Parliamentary Affairs at the Privy Council. You're aware of that?
No, I do not know Karen Williams.
And what about Zita Estrava, the Chief of Staff to the Minister of Emergency Preparedness, Bill Blair? Do you know her?
Yes, I do know Ms. Estravas.
And Annie Cullen, she's with the Privy Council as well. Are you familiar with her?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So in this email, and again, it's January 27th, 2022 at 4:21 p.m., you're aware that the protesters in Ottawa hadn't really even arrived at that time, right?
Sorry, on the 27th specifically, I do not have those specific chronological details with me. I'm sorry.
So there it says to ML, that's Mary Liz, I wanted to reach out on the current issue led situation for the convoy. Given how this is transitioning to a whole of government coordination response, I feel like emergencies preparedness, we are well-positioned office to provide more of a high-level messaging going forward. Public safety, of course, has a major role to play when it comes to the RCMP, CSIS, and IMVE threats. But we have a helpful perspective on the whole government coordination and collaboration with other levels of government. These are the lines we worked up earlier today. Any thoughts on if this is a helpful approach? Convoy, emergency preparedness. And it says, our government recognizes and respects that everyone in Canada has the right to safe and peaceful protest. Threatening acts of violence and inciting hatred, as we have seen from a select few in recent days, is unacceptable and does not reflect the views of the majority of Canadians. We condemn all such hateful and violent rhetoric in the strongest terms. As is common with any significant gathering with potential impacts of government operations, such as the annual Canada Day celebration, law enforcement and security agencies across all levels of government are engaged in coordinating to ensure a safe event. Now, do you recognize the phrases and the sentences in the first 3 bullet points? Have you heard them somewhere before?
I do not have a specific recollection of these words.
Do you recall the Prime Minister's speech on January 31st? Do you recall him when he was in isolation, he came out and gave a speech on January 31st about the protest? Do you remember that?
I do not remember the specific date. I remember having the Prime Minister speaking, to this effect when he was indeed in isolation.
That's what he said.
Okay.
So he said, can you agree with me that writing out a narrative like this prior to the protest even arriving, and then on the January 31st, despite the fact, and this is in evidence, there had been no real actual violence in Ottawa, he says these things. Do you find that concerning?
From what point of view?
As an intelligence officer, as an intelligence agency, that there's a narrative being built for an emergency before the purported thing creating the emergency has even taken place.
Mr. Commissioner, what I can say is that as we've testified, the interdepartmental community got together to understand what was happening, share information, make sure that each of the organization would be able to discharge their mandate appropriately. And so at that point, of course, we are, as I testified, we're keeping aware of what's happening around us, but we are very much focused on making sure that we are discharging our investigative responsibilities and not opine on other issues.
Okay, and let me ask you this. The biggest concern, it appeared, was over the first weekend of the protest. There was the appearances of Confederate flags and Nazi symbols, right? Did you investigate those issues at all?
Mr. Commissioner, we testified earlier that we have written an intelligence assessment about the presence of flags and some of the meaning of those flags. And so I can go back to our analysis, what we've described then. I'd be happy to, if you want to refer me back to the document, speak to that concept.
Now, Mr. Clerk, if you could just go back to my examination aid, this shouldn't be an issue. It's at paragraph 16, just scroll right down to it.
So, Mr. Commissioner, just for your information, this is the document that the DOJ has an outstanding objection over.
And if we can go to paragraph 16.
Mr. Commissioner, we've already objected to this document being put up.
I understand, but I'm going to ask for a ruling on the commissioner to put this page to them. So let's deal with that if we can. So if we can put up
Just
page
a second.
16 again.
And what is page 16?
Or paragraph 16 is just the 2 pictures of the first post in time at 10:13 a.m. on January 28th, 2022 of the spotting of a Confederate flag. And there's also a license plate number. If you'd like me to go through and bring up all of the documents. I'm just trying to get this done quicker, sir. If I,
Well, you're way over time already.
I
so
understand, but I'm not,
just-
this is so important, sir, that I need more time to get through this area. It is extraordinarily important.
Well, so far asking a bunch of questions
Right.
to people who have no knowledge of the documents or
I
the
understand.
information.
I understand. So-
Is not, I'm
Yeah.
trying to explain something. And I know you're frustrated but that's not good use of your time. And reading into the record, that exchange of texts was done days ago. And again, that's not a good use.
I
So
understand.
I'm just, I'm trying to be patient, and I understand you want to get something done. So let's try and work together to figure out how we can navigate this in a appropriate way.
Okay.
So you want to put up a picture of a license plate that's in relativity?
Yes.
Okay, and I think your co-counsel has the number for that, the relativity number, so we can, I'm guessing.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner,
Okay.
from my understanding, Mr. Miller would like to first put up a tweet of Ariel Trusser that shows the image of the license and then the license. So we'll
Right.
call up the number HRF, so POE.HRF 6021.
Okay, so I think that's okay, Mr. McKinnon. We're just putting up the picture for what it's worth. We'll see what it is.
We've gone to page 16 with respect, and it's not just a picture.
We're not
But
putting up
that's it.
page 16.
We've moved on, Mr. McKinnon, so,
If it's just a picture, that's fine.
okay, so that's what I think we're doing. So I'm just, let's try and get through this.
Okay, so, sir, this is my first understanding that this was the first post in time that I can find with respect to when a Confederate flag or a Nazi flag appeared. And it's at 10:13 a.m. on January 28th of 2022. And it's posted by Ariel Troster. Do you know who she is?
I do not.
You're not aware that she's the new counselor that replaced Counselor McKenney?
I do not know who the individual is.
All right, and so then if I could just bring up the closer photo with respect to the license plate, please, and that actually is at page 43 of the examination book of authorities. That'll just be easier for you, Mr. Clerk.
Well, no, I don't think we go there. So your co-counsel, I think, has the reference.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, the reference is POE.HRF 6029.
So, and it's been clear, so online, that license plate number is BL, then it's got a crown in the middle, is 3, and I can literally tell you what it is, and people were trying to look it up. It's viewable. Did at any time CSIS do an investigation into who that license plate holder was?
Mr. Commissioner, I do not have the specific knowledge of this, and even if I had specific knowledge, we would not be at liberty to disclose specific
Right.
details. That's why there was an in-camera session with the Commissioner and Council.
Okay, and so the next document then would be second, please. The next document is the one that comes after in the examination aid, and it is the January 29th being POEHRF 0000000024.
Okay, you're going to have to wrap up, though. If these are just pictures you're putting up, you
Right.
can put it up with any witness.
I understand. So the next time a Nazi flag or a swastika or what have you appears,
The next time you've found it. I mean,
right,
I think.
right. The next time, so you knew about the situation where Conservative Party Member of Parliament, Mr. Cooper, He was giving an interview and this upside down Canada flag with the swastika appeared. Are you aware of that?
I remember something to that effect. I've not researched this recently, but I recall something to that effect, yes.
Okay, could I now bring up POEH.HRF 000000026? Okay, so this is the post from a fella by the name of Skip Pop, unidentified on Reddit. He posted at 3:12 p.m. And it's, from my understanding, the first time that the Nazi flag photo appears. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that, and I'm not seeing
Yeah, it's just,
anything other
I'm just
than,
trying
you
to
know,
get through it. And then there is the issue with respect to that, that no one was able to identify this gentleman. And I believe there's a close-up photo of my friend, Ms. Vanberg.
I think that's going to have to be it, though.
Right. Well, I'm just going to, if we are going to run out of time, is this. Were you aware that the first time that the picture of the gentleman all covered in army fatigues with a mask over his face, walking with a Confederate flag through a crowd, it first appeared in an opinion piece in the Toronto Star from someone who actually works for the Liberal Party of Canada? Were you aware of that?
Mr. Commissioner, my friend seems to be giving evidence now.
I'm asking if he's
So
aware
he
of it.
asked a question, and I can guess at what the answer is
Right.
going to
Right,
be.
okay,
Right.
but there's a presupposition of a fact that's not a.
Yeah,
that's not an evidence.
because you keep interrupting me while I'm trying to ask questions and I'm
No,
running out of time.
Just, please. Okay.
So
I'm not aware of the articles, and I'm not aware of those facts that you mentioned.
Right.
I'm sorry.
are you aware of a company called Enterprise Canada?
Not specifically, no.
And have you identified the individual, one that is, it was all over the news, the gentleman that was carrying the Nazi flag? Have you identified him yet?
Mr. Commissioner, as I've said before, the specific details of our investigations have been shared, with Commission earlier. I would not be able to go into more specific details.
Okay. So I think that's it.
Right, yeah, no, and I
Thank
take
you.
it, then, sir, that you know that individual was Brian Fox from Enterprise Group.
I have not said anything of that respect to council. I have not testified to that, council.
Yeah, you haven't testified to it, but you know that to be true, don't you?
No, that's not fair. Firstly, not a fair statement. So please, and please don't, if you're going to make a statement, please make it. Don't make statements back to the crowd as you leave the podium, please. As council, you're well aware of the appropriate way to conduct yourself. Okay, next